Hey Team Vital Force, Coach Lee here with Josh. Today we're going to be working on some punch mechanics. We're going to be working specifically on the jab, cross, lead hook, and rear hook. Discussing the proper mechanics for those punches and a few things to avoid. One thing that I recommend when doing these drills, especially by yourself where you don't have somebody to watch you, is to video record yourself and play it back. It helps a lot. You can really break down your movements that way and start picking apart some of the things that you'll hear about in this video. All right. Sometimes you might have to take a couple recordings, and depending on what you're working on specifically, you know, it's going to be advantageous to maybe get a front perspective and a side perspective of how you're throwing the punch. Okay. We're going to be starting out with the jab, and if you're throwing these like in a pad combo, or you know your coach is just calling out, he might say jab, but he also might just say one. All right. Jab is our one in punch combos. All right, usually in kickboxing combos or Muay Thai combos as well, the one is a jab. All right, so we're going to be talking about the one or the jab. It's always thrown with our lead hand. All right, so a couple of details that we stress here at Vital Force is that one, he doesn't pivot his lead foot. There's no foot pivot in the jab. All right. He wants to make sure that that foot is bisecting me or cutting me in half at whatever angle he moves to. So whether he steps out to the lead side or out to the rear side, he's using that lead foot to bisect me, to cut me in half. Okay. So that's one. That's two different things actually. The next thing is that when the hand comes out, we want to make sure, one of the things that I see a lot is people will drop their hand to their shoulder and force the punch out. All right? We want that hand to come out like a straight line and straight back to the face. Okay, there shouldn't be a, this is something I see a lot. And people don't really realize that they're doing it always, because it's such a subtle movement to drop and do that. Okay? So it's something you really have to look for. All right. Another thing, the thumb rotates in. Okay, it doesn't need to rotate further than that or much further than that. A little bit is okay, but we're driving with here the front part of these two knuckles, these two fingers. Okay, we're trying to hit with that surface. All right, and we want to drive that in and keep our wrist straight. Okay. Next, another thing that I see a lot is when people throw their punches that they paw, all right, and they end up hitting here in this lower part of the glove. All right, I see this a lot. I get hit with people's gloves right here a lot, rather than the front surface of those two knuckles. Okay, we call this pawing, and it happens a lot. I'll see people. And they hit me like in this area of the hand rather than here. All right, it's very, very common. And then the last thing that we really want to stress is that his shoulder rolls to his jaw. So facing the camera, he's going to throw a jab out there, and you can see his shoulder protects his jaw here, and this helps save him from getting counterboxed. All right, that means if this shoulder is rolled here, then I only have this upper part of the head to hit. I can still get a knockout there or cause some damage, but it's less likely than a shot to the jaw. Okay? So then if I do want to catch the jaw, I'm either going to have to come over really strong with an overhand, or I'm going to have to time his return and try and get into this hole here. As that hand comes back, I'm going to have to try and get my hand into this hole where the elbow drops and opens up. Okay? So no rotation on the foot. All right. Throwing that hand straight out, straight back, not pawing, making sure the thumb turns in, roll the shoulder up, and then last thing is that our hips and our shoulders turn into this, okay? So as I throw my jab, my shoulder and my hip rotates into that punch. All right, that way I'm putting some body weight and some body momentum into the punch. All right, so we're going to have Josh throw a couple jabs here. He'll start with 2 slow ones, and then he'll throw one with a good snap. And you can see here that he's not rotating his foot. And then, good. And he's closing the shoulder, his hips turning with his shoulder, and he's not dropping his hand. So we'll have him do that 2 more times. Straight out, straight back, and good clean jabs. All right, so that's our one, or the jab, guys. For our second punch, we're going to go over the cross. All right, so we have a little more to work on here. All right, a lot of the same details still apply. The hips turn with the shoulder, the thumb turns in, the hand doesn't drop down before it throws, hitting with the same knuckles, rotating the thumb in the same way. The big difference here is that we're going to rotate on the ball of our foot to point our toes at the power or the direction of this punch. All right, so as my punch comes out, my toes flip on the ball of my foot and drive forward and then come back. All right, now something that I see a lot is people think that they're rotating when they're actually really just lifting their heel, which Josh is going to demo for us. He throws that punch, and see, he'll just lift his heel up, and he's really just rocking his weight forward. He's not actually rotating his weight in or directing his power, and that actually stops him from moving his hip and pushing his shoulder, all right? So now if he rotates properly, he's going to reach further, he's going to have a cleaner punch, and he's going to have a lot more power because he's able to drive off the ball of his foot and push his weight and power forward. All right, from the other one, his power is directed this way, and not even very well because his foot is kind of in a weird position when it lifts up. So you see this, and see my power is kind of driving this way, but not really very well. A lot of my weight's out towards my pinky toe when it should be behind my big toe. So this rotation is really, really important. All right. But again, all the same details apply. As he throws that cross out, his foot is going to rotate. His hip's going to turn with his shoulder. His hand goes straight out. He's driving with the front of his knuckles here. His thumb turns in. His shoulder rolls to his jaw. Straight out, straight back. All right? So that's our cross, guys, and some solid mechanics for that. Last, we're going to get into our lead hook. All right? We're not going to go over the rear hook in this video. It's essentially the same, but people struggle a lot more with the lead hook than they do the rear hook. Okay, lead hook is uncomfortable for a lot of people, and they struggle with it a lot. Okay, so a couple of details on the hook, or the lead hook is 3 on our pad combos. All right, so we've went over 1, 2, and 3 on this. All right. So a couple details. There is a rotation on this punch. We want our toes to rotate towards the power of the punch. So as I throw, my foot rotates to go with the direction of my punch. All right? Here at Vital Force, we teach our hooks, thumbs up, driving with these knuckles again. All right? I like this because it keeps my hand safe. I don't end up hitting out here on my hand. Very, very rarely. In years and years of doing this, I've never broken my hand or hurt my hand, and it's because I throw these kinds of hooks. All right, these kinds of hooks are great. They have their use, but more often than not, this hook works just as well, and it actually works better at pushing my opponent into the next shot while still maintaining the ability to knock someone out. All right. So we have the rotation, thumb pointed up. Next thing, our elbow should be in line with our shoulder. You should feel your traps flex here, all right? And we want to try and be close to a 90 here. Now we can extend or retract a little bit here to find range, but close to a 90 is good. All right. So mechanically, elbows up in line with my shoulder. I've got a 90 in my arm. My thumb is up, and I'm rotating into the power of my punch. Okay? So from here, there's a couple things that we have to worry about. One, when we throw this punch, there's a wall dead center in our body. All right? We don't want this punch to come much past that, if at all. Once it hits that center point, it's body drive that causes the power, all right? Not a whip from my shoulder. If I throw an 8-pound arm, it's not going to hurt nearly as bad as if I throw all 205 pounds of me into this punch, all right? There's a big, big difference. So that's one big thing that we have to be aware of. The second one is that we don't need to pull it back. It literally pops out from our face, and the elbow flares as we drive through. Boom. All right, it's very quick, it's very strong, and the power comes from this rotation where we're turning our body like a door on a hinge, okay? It all has to turn together like a door opens on a hinge, okay? So go flip, boom, boom, boom. All right, and that's what I'm doing. I'm turning like a door on a hinge, all right? So Joshy's going to throw a couple lead hooks here. So he wants to make sure that that thumb is up to the sky, his elbow's in line with his shoulder. He's pivoting his body, his foot to his hip, to his shoulders, all together, making sure that that hand doesn't cross the center, and making sure that here he's getting a good rotation, all right? Again, people tend to lift here and think that they're getting a rotation when they're really not. They'll just lift their foot, and you can see mine. It's not really turning anywhere. That happens a lot. All right. So here, Joshy's throwing some good lead hooks. Good. And those are very, very strong. All right. So that's our jab, cross, and lead hook series, working on mechanics and technique. If you have any questions, guys, feel free to reach out. Leave us a message on YouTube, message us on Instagram or Facebook. We're on both of those, Vital Force Mixed Martial Arts and Fitness. We're more than happy to answer questions at any time. We're on there consistently and regularly, and it really is our goal to help as many people as we can, especially in this time while the world is struggling. You know, we're struggling too. And we want to help everyone feel included in what we do and give everyone some learning opportunities while they're out there. So take advantage of it, guys. We're happy to help you. Shoot us a message. Let us know what you think. And tune in for the next video. Thanks for watching, guys.